Hello my yarny friends, I'm Sara Sach and welcome back to my crochet channel. Today's video I'm going to show you how to make this cute basket. It's a square basket. It measures about 6.5 by 6.5 and about 3 inches tall. But these are your 5 by 5 inch napkins, and they fit perfectly inside this basket. This one is done in Christmas colors, and we'll talk more about yarn later, but it fits perfect. And of course, this isn't all of them. I just put some in there. So if you want to order or buy napkins to fit this basket, you need to order or buy 5 by 5 inch napkins. They fit perfectly. I just purchased white ones. You can use whatever color that you want, of course. All right. I didn't add any buttons or ribbons or anything like that. It's just a very basic pattern. And this one, of course, is done in Christmas colors. Now, for our demonstration, I'm going to do Thanksgiving colors, because really this basket can be made for any holiday, birthday, housewarming, wedding, whatever colors are in your house. You can make this basket in those colors. I just wanted one for Christmas and one for Thanksgiving. Now you can find the complete pattern with pictures on my blog. And as always, I'll put that blog link down in the notes underneath this video. All right, let's talk yarn. For this one, for the Christmas colors, I used the basic multi from Premier Yarns called Mary. And I love this because it's a deep red, deep greens, and bright whites. But I wanted this one to be sparkly. So what I did is I held one strand of my Christmas yarn with one strand of this number 10 thread with glitter in it. And I held them together, and it caused this sparkle to come through it. And I used that on the Christmas color section. And then the other part, the bottom, and this here is, I love this yarn, and this is an ivory, I believe. Yeah, I didn't want the white, I wanted the ivory. For some reason, I liked how it looked better. So basically what I'm saying is you can use sparkle yarns, medium weight number 4, or you can use your basic medium 4 acrylic yarns and hold a strand of number 10 thread that is a glitter or sparkle to get that sparkle in there. I only use this for the Christmas one. All right, so let me move these out of the way. For today's demonstration, we're going to be using this sort of beigey color. It's looking a little bit gold, but it's not gold, it's beige. And this is that new Premier yarn. It's called Just Yarn, and this is a beige color. I don't know the exact color because I took the label off. Why I did that, I do not know. But it is just your basic number 4 acrylic yarn, Just Yarn from Premier Yarn. And then I'm using the Premier Yarn Basics Multi as the color in here where I used the Christmas. I'm going to use this. Now, stitching with acrylic yarns, sometimes the striping is far apart, and I really like the Premier Basic Multi because the colors are closer together. See how the red and the green are nice and close in here? They're not long striping yarns, okay? But you can use that if you want to. It's totally up to you what yarns you want to use for your basket, all right? I'm going to be using these two. Where this one has the off-white sparkle, I'm going to use this. Where this one has the Christmas, I'm going to use this. That way I have one in fall colors. All right. We're going to be stitching all of it in an H-hook, which is a 5mm. And you need a needle and a pair of scissors. Oh, let me tell you how much you need, okay? You're going to need 2.5 ounces of your solid color, because we're going to be doing the bottom in that solid color. And then you're going to need about 1.5 ounces of your multicolor. If you're adding a glitter to it, you're also going to need about 1.5 ounces to hold with your yarn. Now you can add glitter thread to all of it, totally up to you. All right, so the solid you need 2.5 ounces, the variegated you need 1.5 ounces. All right, and those are all medium weight, number 4 yarns. We're going to be starting with the bottom of our basket, and as you can see, it's basically a solid granny square, and then we'll work up the sides to form the edges. All right, so we've got our color we're using for the bottom of our basket. We're going to chain 5. Don't forget your slip knot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to join this into a circle, so we'll put the tail of our yarn over our hook and snug that down. Now, if you prefer to use the magic circle or the magic ring or some other method to form your ring in the center, that's totally fine. You do what works best for you. We'll put our hook in the circle and pull up a loop and chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to double crochet and chain 1. Now we're going to stitch 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, and chain 1. And now we're going to repeat this 2 more times. Whoops. There we go. Alrighty. Chain 1. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of 2 double crochets, chain 1. I'm going to join to that chain 3 with a slip stitch. I'm going to slip stitch in that next double crochet and then slip stitch in the chain 1 space and chain 3. One thing you'll notice is that I stitched over the tail of yarn, so I'm going to pull that tightly. I'm going to go ahead and grab my needle and weave this in. You can do it later if you want to. I just like getting it over with. Then I don't have to come back and worry about it. We don't want a hole in the bottom of our basket. And I know I put napkins in mine, but you can use this for lots of different things. Candies, goodies, toys, bread, lots of fun things. All right, so for round 1, we have 4 sets of 2 double crochet, chain 1. Our chain 3 counts as our first double crochet. We're going to double crochet in that chain 1 space and chain 1. Then we're going to stitch 2 more double crochets in that chain 1 space. Now what we're going to do is we're going to stitch 1 double crochet in those next 2 double crochet stitches. 1 and 2. That brings us to our next set. So we're going to go to our chain 1 space and stitch 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. We're going to chain 1 and stitch 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. So now we have 2 corners, brings us to those 2 double crochets, and we're going to stitch a double crochet in each of those 2, 1 and 2. And now what we're going to do is repeat what we did here in the next chain 1 space. We'll stitch 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, chain 1 and 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. Then we'll stitch 1 double crochet in those 2 double crochets. And that brings us to our last set. So we have our chain 1 space. We're going to stitch 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, and chain 1. Whoops, almost had a knot there. 2 double crochets, And then our last 2 double crochets, we'll stitch 1 double crochet in each of those 2. 1 and 2. There we go. Now we're going to join to that chain 3. We're going to slip stitch in the next one, and then slip stitch in the chain 1 space and chain 3. So for round 2, we have our corners with 2, chain 1, 2, and then we stitch 2 in the middle. So that gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on each of our 4 sides with our chain 1 in the corners. All right, let's do round 3. Again, our chain 3 counts as our first double crochet. We're going to double crochet, chain 1 space, and chain 1, and then 2 more double crochets in that same chain 1 space. Now this brings us to those 6 double crochets, and we're going to stitch 1 in each of those 6. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And that brings us to our chain 1 space. So we'll stitch 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, chain 1 and 2 double crochets. Whoops, 1 and 2. All right, and then we'll stitch 1 in each of those 6 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And that brings us to our next chain 1 space, and again we'll stitch those 2 double crochets, chain 1 and 2 double crochets. All right, and then we'll just repeat 1 in each of those 6. Then we'll do a corner, 2 double crochet, chain 1, 2 double crochets. Then we'll stitch 1 in each of these 6, and then slip stitch to the chain 1 space. I completed this all the way around. Now I'm going to join to my chain 3 with a slip stitch, then slip stitch in the next double crochet, slip stitch in the chain 1 space, and again chain 3. All right, and so for round 3, we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 double crochets on each of our 4 sides with our chain 1s in the 4 corners. And see how that makes a much more solid granny square? I love regular granny squares, but for this particular project, I really like doing the solid granny square. I think it gives our basket a lot more sturdiness. All right? Okay, let's do round 4. So again, our chain 3 counts is our first double crochet. We're going to double crochet, chain 1 and 2 double crochets in that chain 1 space. 1 and 2. Now we're going to stitch 1 double crochet in each of those 10. In each row we are increasing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And that brings us to our chain 1 space. So we stitch our 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, chain 1, and 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. And then we'll just repeat this on the next 3 sides. 1 in each of the 10, then we do the corner the same. 1 in each of the 10, do the corner the same, then we'll stitch across, join, and slip stitch to the chain 1 space. I have completed row 4. I'm going to join to my chain 3 with a slip stitch, Then we'll slip stitch in the next double crochet, slip stitch in the chain 1 space, and again chain 3. And so for round 4, we now have 14 double crochets on each side with our chain 1s in the corners. So for round 5, it's pretty much the same. Our chain 3 counts as our first. We're going to double crochet, chain 1, and 2 double crochets in the corner. 1 and 2. All right, so now we're going to place 1 double crochet in each of those 14 stitches. I stitched 1 double crochet in each of those 14, brings me to my corner, and so we stitch 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, chain 1 and 2 double crochets. And then again, we just repeat that. 1 in each of the 14, then we do our corner the same, and repeat that on all 3 sides, and again, join back to our chain 3. I have completed round 5. We did our stitches across, 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets in our 4 corners, and so at this point we have 18 stitches on each of our 4 sides, and then our chain 1 in our 4 corners. Now, row 6, of course, is going to be a little bit different. We still have our chain 3, but what we're going to do in this corner is we're just going to stitch 3 double crochets, no chain 1 space. And our chain 3 counts as 1. I'm stitching 3 more, so that gives us 4 double crochets in our chain 1 space. Now we're going to move across, and we're going to be stitching in the back loops only. All right, so what that means is when you look across the top here, you can see these sets of loops. The loops that are on the back side, on this side, are your back loops. The loops that are up front or facing you are your front loops. All right, so we're going to go in our first back loop in our first double crochet and stitch a double crochet. And we're going to stitch 1 double crochet in each of the double crochets across, stitching in our back loops only. And you'll know that you're doing it correctly if you see this row of loops right here to look like a line across. All right, so I'm going to stitch 1 double crochet in each of those stitches, working all the way across to my next chain 1 space, working in the back loops only. So I've stitched across, working in the back loops only. This brings me to my next chain 1 space, and we're going to stitch 4 double crochets. No chain 1, just 4 double crochets. And then we'll repeat across here what we did over here. We'll stitch 1 double crochet in each of the double crochets, working in the back loops only. And then we'll repeat this on these last 3 sides and join back. I have completed round 6. On each side we have 18 double crochets stitched in the front loops only, and you can see that line of loops there. And then we have 4 double crochets stitched in each of the chain 1 spaces. Now this time I'm just going to join to that chain 3 with a slip stitch and chain 1. And that's the way it should look at round 6. For round 7, we had that chain 1, and what we're going to do with these first 4 stitches that are in our chain 1 space is we're going to stitch them together in double crochet decreases. So we're going to yarn over, go in the chain 1 or the chain 3 and pull up a loop, Then we're going to go in the next double crochet and pull up a loop. You'll have 4 loops on your hook. Yarn over, go through the first 3, yarn over and go through the last 2 loops. And we're going to do that with the next 2 as well. All right? So yarn over, go in, pull up a loop, then go in the next one and pull up a loop. Yarn over, go through the first 3, yarn over and go through the last 2 loops. And so what we did is we took those 4 double crochets and decreased them to 2. Now on the side here, we're just going to stitch 1 double crochet in each of those 18 stitches. And when you start stitching, you'll notice that it's pulling in just a little bit on that corner. And that's what we want it to do. We're going to push it that way though. And that's what we're doing, is we're forming the corner of our basket. All right, so we're just going to stitch 1 double crochet in each of those 18 stitches across until we reach those 4 double crochets in the corner. And then we'll stitch 2 double crochet decreases, or it's called stitching 2 double crochets together. So now I'm in this next corner where I have 4 double crochets. So I'm going to yarn over, go in the first one, pull up a loop, go in the next one, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 3, yarn over and go through the second 2. And then I'll do that again. And so again, we've reduced or decreased the 4 double crochets to 2. And you'll start to see the corners of your basket forming. All right, and so we're going to repeat that on these other sides. We're going to stitch 1 double crochet in each of the 18, and then 2 double crochet decreases in each of the corners. And you can see how the corners are already coming in. I have completed row 7. We stitched 2 double crochets together in each of the 4 corners, so we decreased by 2, and then 1 double crochet in each of the 18 on all 4 sides. So now we're going to join to that first double crochet decrease stitch and chain 3. All right, so now for row 8, we're just going to stitch 1 double crochet in each of the double crochets around. No decreasing, no increasing, no back looping. We're just going to stitch 1 double crochet in each of the double crochets, working all the way around our basket. See how the sides of our basket are now standing up? That's exactly what we want it to do. So I have completed row 8, which was just 1 double crochet in each of our stitches around. I'm going to join to my chain 3, but I'm not going to chain 3. I am going to leave my yarn attached, and I'm going to bring in my second color. And then I'm going to chain 3. When changing colors, make sure you do the chain 3 after the color change. If not, you'll have one color that's beige and one that is, the wrong color in there. And then it will look a little bit messy. All right? Now, for row 9, we're going to be doing this just a little bit different. All right? So, we're going to be alternating front post double crochets and double crochet stitches all the way around. So our chain 3 is our first double crochet. So now we're going to front post, and that's the post down here. We're still stitching a double crochet, we're just putting it in a different place. So the next stitch, we're going to stitch a double crochet. Then the next stitch, we're going to stitch a front post double crochet. And we're going to do this all the way around our basket. And this is going to give it a nice little bit of texture. But when you do front posts like this, it also sort of pulls it in a little bit, and it's going to give it a little bit sturdiness as well. Is sturdiness a word? I don't know. It's going to be more sturdy. How about that? Alrighty, so we're going to alternate regular double crochets and front post double crochets, working all the way around our basket. There we go. And you can see how that's looking. Give you kind of a different angle there so you can see those front posts. Alrighty, so we'll just work all the way around our basket, alternating regular double crochets and front post double crochets. So I have completed my alternating front post, back post all the way around. We're going to join to that chain 3 with a slip stitch. And now for row 10, we're going to do the opposite of what we were doing. All right, so we're only going to chain 1, and we're going to double crochet around that chain, because that's our first front post. Then in the next stitch, which was our front post, we're just going to stitch a double crochet. Then we'll go to the next stitch and stitch a front post around that regular double crochet. All right, and so this row is the opposite of what we were doing. We're going to regular double crochet in the front posts and then front post around the regular double crochets. So we're still alternating, we're just doing it the opposite of what we were doing. All right. It gives it just a really nice texture. And I know it's difficult to see with this yarn. Okay, but we're just doing the opposite. We front post around our chain 3, then we double crocheted in the front post. We front post double crocheted around the regular double crochet, and then regular double crocheted in the front post. So we're alternating still, we're just doing the opposite. Regular double crochet in the front post and front post double crochet around the regular double crochet, alternating all the way around. I have completed row 10, where we alternated our regular double crochet and our front post opposite of the previous row. All right. Now we're not going to cut our yarn because we're going to bring it back in on the last row. So what we're going to do is we joined to that first stitch, and now we're going to bring in our main color, which is my beigey color here. There we go. And now we're going to repeat what we did on the previous row from this one. All right, so we'll chain 3. Then we'll front post in the next stitch, which is our regular double crochet. Then we'll regular double crochet in the next stitch, and then front post in the next. So we're alternating again. All right. The next stitch is a front post, so we'll stitch a regular double crochet. The next stitch is a regular double crochet, so we're stitching a front post double crochet. And so we're alternating again, only using our solid color. Double crochet in the front posts and front post double crochet in the regular double crochets. And it makes a really nice texture. And again, we'll just repeat this, working all the way around our basket and join back to our chain 3. This is our last row of doing this type of texture. I have completed that row of solid, alternating front post and back post, and you can see it's just a beautiful texture. Now, if you're finding that it's wanting to curl in a little bit, don't worry. We're going to fix that on these next 2 rows. So what we're going to do is we join to our chain 3 and we only chained 1 because we're going to place a single crochet in each of those double crochets all the way around. Whether it's a front post or a regular double crochet, every stitch gets a single crochet. 1 single crochet in each of the stitches, working all the way around our basket. And you'll notice it'll help it stand up and look much neater. 1 single crochet in each stitch around, and then we'll join to that first single crochet. I have stitched a single crochet in each of my stitches all the way around. I joined to the first single crochet, and now I'm going to cut my yarn because I'm finished with my main color. We're going to stitch 1 more row with our, what I'm calling special color. It's our variegated, of course, and the second color that we used in here. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to stitch a slip stitch in each of those single crochets around. So we'll go in, pull up a loop, pull that loop through the loop on our hook. And this is going to give us more of a trim than a stitch. And also, I do suggest you stitch this row, maybe just tighten up your tension just a little bit, and it'll help it with the shaping of the basket. All right, you can see how it's just making a trim along the edge of the basket on that single crochet row. All right, so we just go in, pull up a loop, pull that loop through the loop on our hook. And again, tighten your tension up just a smidge, and it will help with the shaping of the basket. And I really like doing this. I think it adds just a touch that brings that second color back in. And it looks like we're just adding a little braid to the top. Alrighty, so I'm going to head on around, stitching 1 slip stitch in each of our single crochets all the way around my basket. I completed that row of just stitching a row of slip stitches all the way around, and I really do love the way that it just adds an extra touch of the color. All right, so we're going to go in that next loop and pull that last loop through that last slip stitch. There we go. I just want to take it to the back so we can tie it off to the back. There we go. All righty. Cut our yarn. All right, now I do have a little bit of weaving in to do here, but you can see where I carried up my yarns, so I don't have to weave those in. Those will be just fine. And so I'm just going to take my needle and weave these ends in, and then I can add my napkins to the basket. So here's the Christmas one, and here's the fall one. I'm going to take some of these napkins and slide those right in this one. You can see they fit just perfectly. And so I'm all set for both holidays, for Thanksgiving and fall, and for Christmas.